I want to go over like the men's basketball starting lineup, what I would think it would be, as well as their conference slate. Now, since it's been has been released for a while now, obviously the starting five for me is obvious. Keontae George, of course, Adam Flagler, L.J. Cryer, Jalen Bridges, and Flo Thamba in the middle. There is no questions to me on that. Now it's just a question of who's going to be the sixth man. I would assume like Dale Bonner, Caleb Lohner, the transfer from BYU. Langston Love, remember, he's been cleared now, so that's three guys right there. You could even say Joshua Ojuwona, the freshman from Nigeria. And I do know that Jordan Turner has improved some. So they have the depth, when healthy, of course. When healthy. Because last year it was an issue of health. Flo Thamba, of course, is number 0. Well, the weight's on that on their website right now, Baylor website right now. So he's 6'10". Keontae George is number 1, 6'4" at guard. Of course, that's probably a walk-on. Jake Youngkin, number 2, guard at 6'3", junior. Dale Bonner, he's a guard, 6'2" guard, like number 3, redshirt senior, which I think he has another year of eligibility due to COVID, but I'm not positive. L.J. Cryer is number 4. He's 6'1" junior guard. That's a junior. Of course, after like 2 more, like this year and following year, he does have 1 more year eligibility due to COVID, of course. Jordan Turner is a number 5 guard /4. That's 6'8". That's a redshirt junior. Adam Flagler is a guard, like number 10, 6'3". That's a redshirt senior. I think he has another year of eligibility due to COVID because of that 2020 to 2021 year. I believe so. Because, they gave it to everybody. Practically. Jalen Bridges is number 11. That's a forward. That's 6'7" tall. That's a junior. He has another year. Granted, I know it's down the line, but he has another year eligibility due to COVID. Jantuan Grimes, number 12. The 6'2" guard. That's a junior. I think he has another year eligibility because I think in the junior college ranks, you're allowed to have another year of eligibility due to COVID. I mean, Langston Love, of course, number 13. That's a guard, 6'5". Redshirt freshman. Of course, he has no extra years of eligibility because he wasn't part of that national talent team. I mean, Josh Ujuwona, number 15. He's a 6'10" forward. That's a freshman. Austin Sachs is a walk-on. That's 6'7" forward. That's a junior. Number 20. Jonathan Chama is just an interesting case. He's number 23, 6'8" forward. That's a redshirt senior. He does have another year eligibility due to COVID, but I'm not sure if he's going to even play this year. Just to be fair, because remember he tore his ACL back in February. He did. And the last thing you need to do is rush him back too quick. Especially when you could re-aggravate it like that. I mean, I'm not taking it from my experience, but I know people that have had that issue. Like Christy Walls from the women's basketball side of things. She tore her ACL twice within 1 year. So, and even another her third one a year later after that second one. And 4 knee surgeries later. So, I know how difficult it is. But I would say it wouldn't shock me if he's redshirting this year. If he doesn't play any games, don't be surprised. Because then he will have 2 more years of eligibility. Granted, he would. Caleb Blown, Zach Loveday is number 32. That's a 4, 7 feet tall. He's a junior. He was part of that. Of course, he has another year of eligibility due to COVID the following year, but he's improved some, but he still has some things to fix. Caleb Lohner is number 33. That's a 4. That's 6'8" tall. He's a junior. Of course, he has another year of eligibility due to COVID. So down the line after the following year, he's versatile, very, very versatile. So the quality depth is there, even without Jonathan Chachua. They're going to have enough depth. That's not the problem. It's not. Now, as for their conference games, granted, they play one true road game, and that's at Marquette, November 29th at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. And they do have like 1, 2, 3, 4 neutral site games. The first game is at Iowa State, December 31st. Iowa State did lose Tyrese Hunter. I'm not sure if they're going to be NCAA tournament team or not, but I would think they very well could be. January 4th against TCU at 8 p.m. Central Time. TCU is good enough to be in the top half of the league this year. So, that's an NCAA tournament team. Kansas State, January 7th in Waco. By the way, the TCU game's in Waco on either ESPN, ESPN2, or ESPNU. The Kansas State game is 5 p.m. Central Time on ESPN+. And Kansas State, I think, is probably more like the worst team, bottom half of the league for sure. And sorry, Jerome Tang. It's going to take a little time for you to get to that level of top half of the league. I expect more like bottom half for them. Then at Morgantown, January 11th at 6 p.m. Central Time on ESPN+. I honestly don't know what to think of West Virginia. I think they could very well finish 5th in the league or 4th. But I could also see worse, like 7th or 8th. I mean, I just don't... And they lost some key players, including Jalen Bridges to Baylor, remember. So, and there are also some other transfers as well. I don't know what to think of them. Oklahoma State, January 14th at 5 p.m. Central Time, either ESPN or ESPN2 in Waco. Oklahoma State's a hard team to predict, too. They are. Because I could see NCAA tournament and not NCAA tournament. Texas Tech in Lubbock, January 17th at 8 p.m. Central Time on ESPNU. Texas Tech is a team that I know they lost some. They didn't bring back a lot of players, but I know they brought in transfers. But one of the transfers, a big guy like Fardaz something. I know I did a video on this earlier, a while back, but he's out basically indefinitely with a foot injury. So, I don't know what to think of them. Oklahoma at Oklahoma, January 21st at 3 p.m. Central Time, either ESPN or ESPN2. I don't know what to expect from Oklahoma either. I think bottom half, but they could very well finish 4th to 5th. I don't know. It's just that competitive in the Big 12. Obviously, Kansas in Waco on ESPN, January 23rd at 8 p.m. Central Time. That's for sure top half of the team league right there. I'm pretty sure. And they did lose a lot of guys to the draft. But I know they always reload. But the question is, will they finish 2nd or worse? Because I don't know about 1st for them this year. Because of Baylor. I'm not being biased either. But you got to look at the rosters. See who has a better roster. Of course, there's a non-con game against Arkansas January 28th, either 3 p.m. Central Time or 5 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. Now, January 30th is against Texas and Austin on ESPN or ESPN2 at 8 p.m. Central Time. Texas, yes, they might have gained some transfers, but here's the problem for them. They can't shoot threes. That's the biggest thing right there that they have to address. based on last year's percentages for everybody, including their transfers they got, including Tyrese Hunter from Iowa State. I don't know. They're definitely an NCAA tournament team. It's just, I don't know if they're top 3 team in the league or are they just like top 6. I don't know. I have no idea. Of course, Texas Tech February 4th at noon on CBS in Waco. Now, February 8th is against Oklahoma in Waco this time. ESPN or ESPNU, 8 p.m. Central Time. Now, TCU at TCU February 11th, 3 p.m. Central Time, either on ESPN or ESPN2. Now, West Virginia again, but in Waco this time. February 13th, 8 p.m. Central Time, either ESPN or ESPN2. Kansas and Lawrence, February 18th, 3 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. And granted, Baylor's only won there one time in their entire history in the series against Kansas in Lawrence. February 21st is against Kansas State, but at Kansas State, 6 p.m. Central Time on ESPN, either on ESPN, ESPN2, or ESPNU. Now, February 25th is Texas, but in Waco this time, either ESPN or ESPN2. Oklahoma State, but at Oklahoma State, February 27th, 8 p.m. Central Time, either ESPN or ESPN2. Then finish the conference slate on March 4th, 11 a.m. Central Time or 1 p.m. Central Time, and on ESPN or ESPN2, but in Waco. So I'm very excited for this men's team this year because I think they're definitely a national title contender, and I know they've been getting slipped on. It's like, come on, you gotta look at the roster. They have the depth. They have not only the starters, but they got the depth. They could go 3 or 4 deep easily, maybe even 5 deep if they need to. And hopefully this year they stay healthier, because that was the biggest thing that was a problem last year. They have more depth at guard this year than last year, and they're going to go back to a 3-guard lineup, I would think, just like the national title team, and then 2 forwards. Basically have 4, and the forward could shoot the ball too, especially with Jalen Bridges. He's really, really good at shooting based on what I've seen and on film in practice. Like what he said in a press conference thing after the first practice. So I'm definitely excited for them this year. And I know this is going to be a little adjustment without Jerome Tang, but I have faith in all the other staff. I do, including the incoming and Tweeney Carter. And the other guy as well, which I will go look back up on that. And I'm glad that Flotomba came back. Luke Simmons. So yeah, they got a solid staff and they got solid players. I'm not worried about their depth. Anyways, I just want to go over this roster breakdown as well as like what I think of the starters, as well as the conference slate for the teams and how I think the conference is going to be. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get into 400 subscribers and more about the end of this year.